Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Welcome to the Real Female Entrepreneurs. I'm going to tell you now, our next guest. I cannot wait for you to talk to her, hear about her, listen to her. She's amazing. She is a powerhouse in entrepreneurship, business mentoring, not for profit, small business entrepreneur training, mentoring, support centers, and two not for profit and international advocacies. Oh my God, she's amazing. You're going to love her. Look, you know what? She is a recognized leader in small business development and women's economic empowerment as the founding manager of Belmont Business Enterprise Center Inc.
and is the Textile Clothing Footwear Resource Center, Western Australia Inc. She has dedicated over 30 years to supporting entrepreneurs in fashion, textile, and small business. Basically, she has supported people just like you. She is a global change maker.
She has represented Australia at APEC Women in the Economy Forum. She has hosted the UN, CSW, NGO forums, spoken at Women Economic Forum events worldwide, not just locally in Australia, not just US, worldwide. Her remarkable leadership has earned her prestigious awards, including the Woman of the Decade Award and Hall of Fame recognition. Okay, let's just start bowing down. All right, join us in welcoming the passionate Carol Hanlon, a champion of fashion, sustainability, and entrepreneurship. She is amazing. Let's have fun with her. Hey, welcome. Oh my God.
Okay. Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Glad to be with you, Angel.
You're amazing.
Congratulations on your wonderful magazine, Female Entrepreneurs, and your program. Well done.
Thank you. Well, that's an honor to hear that from you, because that is what you do. You encourage women. So something had to happen in your life. I love starting here. Something had to happen in your life to flip the switch to have you become the amazing entrepreneur you are today.
Well, I guess I grew up in a very poor family. We used to get food parcels at the front door from the charity group and all of that. And I had 3 older brothers, and my father was an alcoholic. In those days, there was no support like there is around nowadays for social welfare. So I grew up knowing that if anything that I wanted to do, I had to do it. And my mother was obviously very resourceful to survive through the hardship she did. So I started sewing at 7 years of age, making my own clothes. And at 13, I was already doing dressmaking for clients, charging money. And so I left school when I was 15. So everything I've done since I left school is being self-taught. So I would have loved to have, I got a scholarship, but we couldn't afford for me to go stay on. So it was go to work. And I left home when I was 15. So I started my own fashion business, dressmaking, when I was probably 20, maybe 19, 20. And that grew into my own fashion label, which I ran for 20 years. And I supplied a little bit in the USA. I supplied probably 300 boutiques around Australia and New Zealand in the era when independent individual boutiques existed. Now, that was before chain stores and fast fashion, right? So I would have would design. I would have 200 garments per season. And I would go around Australia and show those ranges to the buyers. Yeah, so I had a factory, my own factory. I also had retail stores. And so, but in that era, in the 70s, because I started my fashion label in 1973, and there wasn't any support for women, hardly anything. But my ex-husband was a racehorse trainer, and in order for me to run my business, or just because I started at home in the garage in the racing stables, I had to cook for all the jockeys and stable hands that live with us, and also, make jockey silks and horse rugs as well, and stuff like that. And so, because that was in the era when in the racing industry, women never left the industry. You were just, and it was very much, I was outside the industry. I started in fashion industry when I was 15 as a junior. And so I was very determined from a very young age, because that was the only way anything was going to happen. You had to do it yourself. And partners are not very supportive of that.
Not always. No, they're not. Huh?
No, especially when my label grew and grew, and I had two retail stores, Melbourne and in Geelong, where I was based, and supplying across and exporting, and on TV and magazines all the time and stuff like that. And yeah, so I know what it's like to be on the other side of the fence. So my passion is in helping women entrepreneurs at the grassroots level, especially, is because I know what it feels like when you are not on the other side of the tracks, so to speak.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The system doesn't really want to support you. And in those days, believe it or not, in Australia, you couldn't even get I had a firm who wanted to send me to India designing and buying. And I was newly married, and you couldn't get a passport unless your husband signed it back in that era.
Yeah.
You couldn't even get a loan as a female in that era.
You could not. The husband had to sign.
Yeah. So I was very determined from a very early age that, and if I wanted to achieve anything or I wanted to do anything, the buck stopped with me. I had to find a way to do what I wanted to do. And being creative and resourceful, it's a very that combination. And I'm a Leo, and I'm also a Chinese dragon, so I'm a double dose of the same thing.
I'm a dragon.
Oh, okay. I'm a water dragon.
Oh, I'm a Pisces. So yeah.
Yeah. So so that's how it all got started. And because when I divorced my ex-husband and moved as far away from one side of Australia to the other, which is about the same as LA and New York, 4 or 5 hours on the plane, I started the not-for-profits because I know how hard it was in starting small businesses from nothing, literally, and that's how it's probably started. But I was also very involved in civil society before that, and I was the governor of Victoria, of a not-for-profit and a global organization called Quota International, which started in the US as well, and was very involved with speech and hearing impaired around the world. And I did all sorts of things in the 80s. I was the youngest district governor in the world in the 80s in regards projects in speech and hearing impairment and everything else that went along with that. So I've always had a community not-for-profit type outlook, because I know how much is not done.
So, okay, so let's go back a minute. So you didn't finish school, am I right? Or you
Well,
did? You finished
15.
15? No. I want to bring this up.
I got a scholarship to go on, but
Right.
the income wasn't. I had to leave school and get some money.
Again, you did not go to higher education. That's what I'm trying to say. And I
No.
mean, you just said, I'm going to do this, and you just did it. You didn't say, I didn't have this. You didn't give yourself excuses for anything, it sounds like.
No, because when you're running your own business, as many of your entrepreneurs know, well, in those days, this is before mobile phones. This is before the fax. This is the calculator had just been invented.
Remember the typewriter?
Typewriter, yes. And snail mail. You had to run a business on snail mail.
Yeah.
So you had to learn the hard way. So when, I was an early computer adopter, I got a Macintosh in the mid-'80s, but all the software that worked in these, the Macs, all had glitches in them. They all had bugs. So in order to do the accounts, you had to work out what was wrong, because the trial balances didn't match, and find out where the things were wrong. So you'd learn the hard way. But if you really want to make stuff happen, it's about determination, and it's about being resourceful, and it's about not throwing the towel in, because if you want to do what you want to do, the buck stops with you.
All right. So how do you balance? So I want to know how you balanced back then having a life, and how are you balanced these days having a life? Or is there such a thing as a balance? That's always my
Back then,
question.
it was very difficult, because I could be cooking for 10 or 12 people a night.
All the jockeys, correct? All the jockeys.
Stable hands and track riders that live with us. And if I went shopping, I'd have 4 trolleys, and people thought, because I also could model my own, put on big fashion shows. And, back then I was, size 10. Well, in the US size, that's big, but in Australia, that's like your size 4, So people thought I was a young, cracked out teenager buying all this stuff. I didn't know. They didn't think I'd be feeding 12 people, Anyway, so balance, very difficult back then, because sometimes I would work 24 hours straight, or even right through the night, if I had orders and deadlines. And you just had to do it, because the racing stable started at 4 or 5. And in that era, I was expected to have breakfast ready for the stable staff.
Oh my
Anyway,
word.
so I had two young kids, obviously 2 kids, and all this, and ran my ex-husband's business, did all the books and paperwork, and talked to the owners. And we had a big stable. We had 35 horses in the stable. These are thoroughbred racing, right?
Wow.
So 35 horses is a big stable.
2 children, 12 other people. Oh my God. Huge horse. And you also created your own fashion design business.
Yeah. So I had my own fashion business, started in the garage, 2 pieces of burning board on 2 44-gallon feed drums, and cut out by hand. And then that sort of grew until I moved it out of the garage and into a city located, Geelong Regional, an hour from Melbourne, and had a little workroom behind the shop I started. And then that grew into wholesale, and that's started selling to other boutiques around Australia, when women actually owned boutiques and advised their client on. So they were like free stylists, really, in that era.
Yeah.
And when the buyers came in, the women knew who they were dressing. You know, they knew the lifestyle of their clients, that she
Right.
went to this and she went to that. And so, yeah, so that's how things happen.
And what about now? How do you balance your life right now?
Well, now I'm a mature age woman, obviously single, still been single for 30 odd years more, right? My passion is the empowerment of women. I do help men. I help everybody, and I help other NGOs. But making a difference to women around the globe is why I'm still doing what I'm doing at nearly 73, and that there isn't a it's a lifestyle. If I stop doing what I was, you know, my NGOs tomorrow, I'd still do what I'm doing.
Do you
But
ever see yourself stopping? That's my first
No.
question.
And you can't do what I'm doing without a legal entity. You actually have to have legal entities. So I have 2 boards, 2 chairs, 2 organize. So because they're both legal, not for profits. So it's to keep, and they're all volunteers, obviously, with NGOs. So yeah, so you do what you do. If you're passionate about what you do, it's the joy you get is making stuff happen. So I make things happen and make a difference to many. And the empowerment when helping women who women culturally, one of the biggest problems women have culturally, and you know, these are global surveys that I was involved with, you know, different well-known incubator networks. Confidence and self-esteem is what holds women back. Doesn't matter what country you're in, because confidence and self-esteem is something that culturally is women were, or girls were not expected to reach for the stars.
Definitely.
And it gets them eventually. And so that issue and the imposter syndrome is what pulls women back.
Yeah.
And if you're the underdog, the relatives and the partner and whoever will give you oh, keep going, you'll do well, da, da, da. But when you do well and you start to rise up a little, the system isn't as supportive, because and I'm probably getting off the track here a bit.
It's fine. It's fine.
When you start to rise up, sometimes those around you makes them feel insecure of that you show them up that they're not achieving.
Yeah.
So that can come out in different ways. And then as a result, you can find yourself isolated. So I very much encourage all women there's some major organizations around the world, like Business Professional Women, BPW, Seroptimus International, Zonta International, the Graduate Women. There's lots of them. And they will, they're other like-minded women. You can't stay isolated. You have to, and your magazine, Female Entrepreneurs, is a great initiative. So you have to find your tribe. You have to connect with your tribe, and you have to, who are supportive, because life is a hurdle. The problem with micro small businesses, who are the main ones I help, micros under 5 employees, but any size comes my way, is women's businesses start from the grassroots up. They start from the bottom for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
But the thing is that women are time poor. They are running their own business. They are doing the household management. they're doing their family responsibilities. If they've got a very helpful partner, then they also have to organize their partner to be helpful, which is another person to organize.
My husband's asked me before, "Oh, what can I do to help you?" I'm like, "I don't know. You're just not going to do it good enough. I have to show you first." So that
Yeah.
goes hand in hand. So
And now women are also being having the aged parents caring responsibilities, which is a whole nother mindset in today's world of. So they're time poor. When you are time poor, you don't have the time to go out and do that networking that other business owners have. You don't have time to attend the things you need to do because you've got child rearing, family responsibilities, household, da 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 da. And the problem is you don't know what you don't know.
Mm.
And if you don't know it, how do you know you need it?
You know, you brought up this one thing, and it has been a theme on our show. We are dealing right now with maybe children still or grandchildren, and then we're dealing with the aging parents as well. So, and sometimes we don't always live that close as well. And so, people are having to deal with both ends, whereas my mother's age group didn't have to dealing with both ends at all. So it's a new era, new generation, and we're trying to build businesses all in that as well, with the freedom and
Yeah.
flexibility.
Because back in that era, the community network was much tighter. And people didn't move away from where their families were based. It's like now people are in other countries of the world or other parts of Australia or other. So it's a much more transient lifestyle for families. So that is why it is so important to build that network of like-minded people that you need to connect with to to fill up your glass. Otherwise, you are running on glass half empty. And if you keep with aged parents, with kids, school demands, especially now in micro small business with the global trade unrest, the supply chains, that is seriously going to do everybody's head in. Because I give workshops or webinars in exporting, the risks of importing. I get cybersecurity, right? All of these topics are the sorts of things that I need to upskill our businesses in. So, but now with the global unrest, those that are running businesses that have anything, the price rises, the difficulties of the supply chain is such an unknown commodity now. It's going to be very stressful. So risk management should be on the top of everybody's to-do list to analyze what are the risks with what they do that could happen and how will they overcome them if it happens, right? So risk management is key because it will come. And if you're prepared by doing some, bit like when COVID started and people found out a year later they should have pivoted. But if you now think, okay, risk management is the key to survival these next few years. Whatever you're doing, and even if you're a service business like what you're doing, it's your clients that are going to suffer.
Yes.
And they're going to be in financial disarray. They're going to be stressed out. They're going to throw the towel in, right? So it's mental health, well-being. It's really, you don't know what you don't know. So it's serious. Now's the time to upskill and time management. I also do webinars on time management. So if you practice really good time management, you can get 2 hours extra a day. Okay?
Yeah.
So with that 2 hours, you put it towards strategic planning, and then you put it towards implementing what must be done and as against what you want to do. So it's just simple. And then, of course, you've got to have your plan. You've got to know who, what, why, when, and where. It could be, people say to me they want to grow their business. And I say, okay, how's your pricing and costing going? Oh, well, because they just think more sales is going to get them out of the black hole they're in. But if their pricing is wrong, they actually can go broke quicker if they sell more of something that's not priced correctly. So with this global unrest will also be vital to relook at the pricing structures of what you're doing. And it could be that this struggle that everyone in the world is being faced with could be something that you're doing is actually taking you to the path that there's something that's more profitable. So now's the time to think smarter, not do it harder, and look for your cash cow. What can you do with your eyes shut and your hands tied behind your back that isn't as high risk as what you're currently doing, that can get you through these next couple of years of unrest in the supply chain?
Okay, so that right there, I mean, everything you've said, I mean, I'm like in awe and like leaning in. But right there, what can you do with your eyes closed, your hands tied, that will get them the money?
Well, passive income is one.
Yeah, the passive income is
What have you got that you own? And if you haven't got the trademark or you don't own the intellectual property, the first thing you've got to do is, and I have a webinar for free on from a US attorney on trademarking in the USA.
And how do we get that?
Well, okay, so people, I have monthly I have monthly newsletters. I have a newsletter for the A to Z of business from the BEC. I have a newsletter for fashion and creatives. And I have a newsletter for women in business called the BPW Business Incubator. So people can register for them for free. And in those newsletters are all the business tips and opportunities and things that I dig up. So the women in Jordan send me an email, go, oh, this is wonderful. No one gives us this information. Right. So, and all those webinars are there, but, and opportunities. So in the supply chain, I dig up opportunities for people to go to trade events. So in India, I'm always usually India, China, Vietnam, many places in Asia, free accommodation to attend a trade event, right? But sometimes I can even get sponsored airfare. But sometimes I can even dig up exhibition space. If I've got opportunities, they're always in the newsletters, right? So because if you're operating in a bubble with your business, thinking you're the be-all to end-all, if you don't see what the world is doing, then the world will take you over.
100%.
You have to be aware. And the quickest and cheapest way to see what's happening is to go to a trade event. Trade event is where only businesses go to, wholesale, not public stuff, right?
Right.
And walk the aisles till your feet are sore and you can't ask questions anymore to find out what price, what's the minimum quantity. And not necessarily that you're going to buy it, but that's what your competition is buying. So you actually then have to go, well, what's my USP, my unique selling point? And if you don't know it, you better quickly find out. And the first thing to understand is your trademark is how you can label your brand, your products differently from the competition. And if you've got a business, many people think that their business name or their company name means they own their name in the marketplace, and it's not. You actually have to trademark to own that name, and that's what you attach to your product, and that's where you can create margin. So if you're selling a product or a service without a proper margin, then that's when you haven't got the slightest hiccup, and all of a sudden you're costing you money to sell that product, right?
Yeah.
So passive income, but yet to get passive income, you actually need to own the intellectual property that you can put on a piece of paper with a lawyer to license to that person to use to franchise. And I wouldn't go down the franchise route. That's because that's a whole nother expensive scenario. But licensing is more simpler to other things, whether it's stationery, whether it's skin creams, whatever it may be. So passive income. So that means you make money while you're sleeping. But it could be that what took you to where you are today maybe isn't going to be what the demand is for the future, because the consumer is changing. Business is definitely changing. You only got to look at all the malls in the USA that are closing up. Right? The same thing's happening in Australia, because retail stores are not the same as the world has changed.
Yeah,
people are comfortable with buying online. But for everything that goes down, opportunities come up. And that's when someone who has the knowledge of a business can see the opportunities when you take your blinkers off. You've got to look for new opportunities. And if you do a SWOT analysis on strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and you start really looking at your goals, and I say a business plan can be one page. There's only 3 things to consider. The hours you want to work. If you're working 60 hours a week now, do you want to work 30 hours a week? Whatever it is in the future. The income you want to earn, because the hours you work and the income have a comparative connection. You can't say I want to work 5 hours a week and get 50 times more money. But most importantly, it's the lifestyle. What lifestyle do you want to have with your business? And I can have people that have got 4 young kids, and they say they want to start a business where they're selling on the weekend at a market. I go, you're not serious. You're going to be chasing kids around the market under all this, So lifestyle. So you've got to create a business that suits the lifestyle with your timeline. Where do you want to be in 5 years from now? Where do you want to be in 10 years from now? Where do you want to be in 15 years from now? And that, when you get some sort of clarity, when you put pen to paper, as much as people go, no, they want to use whatever, computer. But when you actually get a pen and paper, a journal. So I always recommend get a journal, your thinking book, go to the stationery store, find a cover that really appeals to you. And when you get a journal and write down your ideas today, write down the ideas next week, do a SWOT, do your lifestyle, do your income, do your
hours,
right? You'll be surprised. It's a bit like a storyboard. So as a designer, let's say the pictures behind you, if I was doing a collection, and say the wilderness was a story, or the African Aztec was going to be a story, and you have a pinboard and you stick up all sorts of stuff, swatches of sampling fabric, maybe a button you saw, maybe this, maybe that, and the story comes together. So it's the same sort of thing as painting your picture. The story will come together if you start putting your thoughts on paper and playing around with it. And then you've taken your blinkers off and you're thinking outside the square, because the new opportunities for you will be outside the square, and you'll go, this can make more profit, because you need to be looking at margin. Margin is profit. So you need to be looking at what has the minimum expenses, the lowest risk, that makes the maximum margin, that you can build that business. But for some reason, especially women, you know the old saying, whoever's got the thickest legs wanted to wear the shortest mini skirt. Well, for some reason, entrepreneurs have a passion in their mind of something, and they want to start the hardest idea, and with the least amount of money in it, and the highest amount of risk, and the highest amount of money to invest in it. But what you need to do is cut the emotion out of what you want to do and use your objective thinking of going, is this what I need to do? Is I need to find my foolproof business, my cash cow. Eyes shut, hands behind my back. It will make money. It may not be my first choice. It could be my choice number 4. But you can have 10 business names under your one company, right?
Yeah.
But it's the one that will make the money. And then if you make the money, it will allow you the luxury to do the hard one that you do later, when you can afford to use some of your profits to invest in the hard business. But for some reason, people pick the hard one.
Look, all I know is that anybody who listens to this podcast will have a business degree all in one. I'm telling you.
It's human nature. But it's working on the business is very different than working in it.
Oh, golden. Isn't that golden?
So that's, and the other thing, another thing that I share with a lot of people is, when you think you know it all, is the time to give up.
Well,
because you never
happen.
know it all. I always reading things. I'm always listening to other people. I'm always going to things, because you have to look at things through another set of eyes. There's always another point of view, and opportunities are all around the place. Okay. But when things get tough, the opportunities rise up. But if you can have a clear mind and be able to work on the business, and you have your journal and you write down ideas, you'll be surprised how many of those ideas will start gelling together to appear into something.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's look from a point of view of you knowing what you know now, okay? And what would you go back and tell your, say, 18-year-old self?
Think smarter, not do it harder. Working 24 hours around the clock so I could cook for stable boys was not a wise trying to be all things to all people.
Yeah, but that's what we do as women. We try to be,
and we're conditioned. We're conditioned. So, so just build a support base around you. Not rely on the people you think should support you. And those that tell you, it's another thing. Those that tell you, yes, go and do it, da-da-da. Friends and family often tell you to do that because they want whatever you're doing it for free or at discount price. They're not going to pay the price your clients you need to charge, right?
Yeah.
So Yeah, so build a support base around you for yourself of like-minded men and women, because male champions of change are vital.
Yeah.
So, and also lend a hand out to others. Women quite often, as they go through the ranks, can also be detrimental to other women.
Mhm.
So be humble.
Mm.
Be
That is
humble.
so true. So, look, you're bringing something, a very important topic up right now. And I've struggled with this my whole entire life, because I've always been a little bit like you, and the entrepreneur that has gone out, has done a lot. I've had at least 3 different jobs or positions or businesses all at once, all the time. So, having a support team of friends, I never really did the friend thing really well unless people were associated with what I'm doing. Do you find that's so true for women?
Yeah, and very much for me, what I'm doing now, because I do stuff all around the place, and it's very hard to keep up with friends. Although I still keep in touch with the girl I started school with when I was 4.
Oh.
So yeah, but yeah, because people go on different paths. But I find that my global network of people that I connect with, you can't be all things to all people.
No. No.
So filling up my glass, filling my glass, because I run my glass down by overkilling what I'm doing, overdoing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Going to the US and back in 7 days really did my body in, with 35 hours of travel either way.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, what would I tell my 18-year-old? 18-year-old, yeah, build a support base around you. Keep your wish list and keep your journal. Your dreams you had when you're 18, they may not happen when you're 19, but when you're 28, if you keep adding all the things, there's a reason. The universe, your skills and talents, sometimes you've got to go through hurdles to come out the other end. And there's the lessons you learn. Some people go to university and learn lessons for 3 years. Sometimes you can do it on the job in 3 months.
Right.
So, yeah, but keep a journal, write things down, because when you put pen to paper, it crystallizes the thoughts.
Wow.
And when you crystallize your thoughts, you're cementing it in the back somewhere, and it starts to gel. So I'm sorry for all the tech heads that go, oh, pen and paper, but there is something about that exercise that is proactive. And that does, yeah. So,
So
yeah.
can you share any future plans you have for your career? Or I know there's new things on the horizon because I just know you listening
Well,
to you.
I know you're a finalist in the Women Changing the World Awards, and I congratulations to you.
Thank
And
you.
I've probably got 12 of my flock are there as
Yeah.
finalists in all of from around the world. And I'll send you a list of them, because you can interview them or get their details when you're there. I'm in the midst of facilitating. I collect donated sewing machines and textiles, and I have a storage unit that's donated. And I started in the Philippines, rural, remote Philippines, in Leyte province, 29 village sewing centers in the barangays there in 2007, 2014. unfortunately, they got wiped out with Cyclone Yolanda.
Mm.
And if you weren't employed by the government back then, you didn't have anything, right? But a couple of years ago, I sent a 40-foot container. So I sent 5 containers to the Philippines of sewing machines and textiles and haberdashery. A couple of years ago, I sent a 40-foot container to BPW in Lebanon, and they had for their sewing project to help the women after the Beirut blast.
Wow.
And started micro sewing livelihood projects for those women who lost everything, right? And at the moment, I'm overflowing with donations, and I have enough for another 40-foot container. And I'm in discussion with BPW in Port Moresby to start a sewing project there. So that is on the horizon. And as I've just come back from the running the forum in New York, which was my 10th forum, and I will be starting export projects in July and launching my 30-second Small Business Awards. These are for Western Australia. So they're statewide awards, and I have, 450 people come on the awards night and 24 categories, etc. And I also will be putting together our Innovation Festival, which is global, and I've put a call out. It's in our newsletters. Anyone who's a global speaker who would like to deliver a topic can be in our Innovation Festival of a topic that interests micro small businesses, male or female. And sometimes I have 150 or so events running, and a lot of them are free. And that'll run for 4 months. And that'll be our 21st Innovation Festival. And when I started it, people didn't know what the word innovation meant.
What's new?
So I suppose, yeah, so there's lots of other. I'm running a volunteer empowerment project at the moment to empower volunteers, especially women. And that runs every month. And that is something that's close, passionate. And so I run 2 networking forums a month. Got one tomorrow night. Because people don't know what they don't know. So I have 5-minute speakers, all sorts of topics, and that is where people learn a topic that they didn't even know what the jargon meant, right?
I love
the other
that.
thing is that I would like to share with everybody is if you've got any business coaches or facilitators in your network, I'm also on the national board of an Institute of Enterprise Facilitators that accredits people. And I have some scholarships for women who want to get accredited, who for their past recognition for prior mentoring that they've done. And if they get approved and invited into the institute, they get postnominals after their name.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
I do. So all sorts of, but all that stuff's in the newsletter. So anyone who wants to get join up for a newsletter, they just simply maybe they contact you and they can get my email.
That's fine. So they just need to email you? They just need to email you or?
info@belmontbec.com.
Okay.
But they can contact you for the, but most importantly, as the world is entering a new era, the smooth years of business goes up and down. We're entering a tough era. Don't get disheartened. Put your thinking cap on. Watch your skills and talent. Where are the opportunities? What is your, what can you do that's your cash cow? What can you make money with low risk? What have you got that you need to get rid of? or offload? What do you have that you can license? What can you have that you don't is not making money that you can put into the onto the shelf for the moment? Wrong time, wrong place. But you have to be able to be not emotional about what you're doing. You have to be objective in order to cut the emotional ties. That was great 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but it's not next year.
Very good. So let's do a lightning round. You ready for a lightning round?
Okay.
All right. If you had a superpower for just one day, 24 hours, what would it be?
Gender equality throughout the world.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be amazing. All right. One fun fact about you that not a lot of people know about. You told us a whole bunch.
I like karaoke singing.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, I could see you doing that. Okay. We're getting on a stage and I'm not good, but that would be fun. All right. A favorite book.
A favorite book. I'm not really a book reader. Chinese astrology.
Ooh.
I often, because Chinese astrology goes over a 60-year cycle, and I often find plot astrology for people, and they're a water dragon or a fire dog or whatever it is. So Chinese, I'm not really a book reader. I'm doing stuff all the time.
That's fun.
Running 2 not-for-profits night and day.
Hey, if it wasn't for Audible, I wouldn't be able to listen to anything. I'm an Audible freak. All right. Do you have a favorite song that gets you moving and grooving?
No, not a move and groove. My music choice is to make me slow down.
That's fine.
Fiona Hawkins.
Oh.
And her music is my most favorite that I will play wherever I am that I need to start to chill. Hopefully chill.
That's what I say. Okay, I have chill music and I'm moving and grooving music. All right. Your favorite quote. Do you have a favorite quote?
Oh, okay. You'll like this one. Okay. And it hasn't been, it's researched of who actually started it and what have you, but I didn't make it up, but I found it in the 70's, I think. Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail.
Love that. All right. I think you told us the best way to get in touch with you is by email. Is that correct? And is there anything else you want to share with the audience today?
Oh, I think I've probably, they've probably all got a bit of a headache, except the fact that if you're passionate and about what you want to do and to keep going, and you've got determination and you're in it for the long haul, then just do it.
Very good. Yeah.
Find the support you need, but be prepared to understand that you need to accept what you don't know. And then the reality is you've got to go about getting those skills. And all of my webinars, skill building webinars, are all in 1 hour bite-sized pieces. So you can break it down, whether it's trademarking, pricing, costing, business planning, whatever it is, exporting, importing, Italian fashion media, selling your label in the USA.
That would be fun.
Right? Yeah. So, and then just make it happen. But take other people with you. You've got to take other people with you. Don't become look around you and who you can empower along the way to build your to lend a hand to others.
Yep. Carol, you are amazing. I loved having you here. The wealth of knowledge you have. I just would want to have dinner with you and know, people go, "I want to have dinner with Oprah. I want to have dinner with Carol Hanlon." I think that would be great. All right. Thank you so much for being here. We loved every minute of it.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, Angel, and thank you, and your mission, the universe has touched you with your female entrepreneurs, and the opportunities that you can keep creating for other women around the world for empowerment. I take my hat off to you. Well done.
Did it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye all. See you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.